you truly care about the rights of other women, and you're like, you know what, we stand against their rights, they have the right to work, etc., no problem. If you have a good husband, why don't you share it?
Can I answer that?
Yes, I'm going to ask, do you truly care about your co-sisters?
No, I care about me. There's enough people in the world for people to get married and not have to share a husband.
No, there isn't. Certain things has to be done for the greater rights of the community.
Do you know the Musta man, the Musta man, the Musta man? Do you know the Musta man who lives on Dawah Lane? Do you know the Musta man, the Musta man, the Musta man? Do you know the Musta man who lives on Dawah Lane?
Hotel, motel, Holiday Inn. If your second wife starts acting up, threaten her next of kin.
You're out of a job, boy. You're finished. You're finished. Allah, you're finished. You're finished. You're finished. Allah, you're finished.
Us Dawah guys are just perverted individuals.
Allah, you're finished. Aha! Aha!
All right. We are live a little later than expected, but it is all good. You guys are right on time for another show from Reasoned Answers, your home for the
Crackhead clown individuals.
Today we have a very special show. Mary has some very interesting material for us about Muhammad and his
a tiny thing, like a tiny morsel.
Yes, his tiny thing is what we're going to be talking about today. Mary, what inspired you to do this topic?
This topic is once again dedicated to Maleek. Using Jay Smith's common phrase, our good friend Maleek. I'm using it with all the accuracy that Jay Smith uses this phrase. Our good friend Maleek has inspired this. And so if anyone is offended by this, go and talk to Dr. Maleek, failed rapper, the boy who failed out of pre-med and didn't even take the MCAT, who is here to rescue Islam by threatening everyone with death. So this is a serious topic, meaning that I have very good reason to say these things. I'm not making stuff up. I'm not just inventing things. There are very, very good reasons to believe that one of the things that went into the formation of Islam that controlled Muhammad and his ideas and his preferences is the way his physiology formed, that he had a certain issue beginning at birth that caused his member to be of a petite dimension, shall we say. And this has shaped Islam from this point forward in ways that people just don't recognize. So,
all right,
here we go.
Our let up north said that we have some deep scholarly research.
We're going to dive deep.
Not in the Al-Zut sense, or maybe in the Al-Zut sense, we'll see. But yes, we're going to have some fun today, going to be a spicy stream. But as Mary said, we're not just making stuff up. This is as serious as the topic could reasonably be. This isn't just inflammatory, although it certainly is inflammatory. The evidence actually shows that Muhammad had a
very, very small thing.
And
you prepared for this one. Nice.
I did. I have those two clips. Those two clips that we'll be using throughout. I had to get those in the introduction. First, trans prophet. Not exactly. He was hoping the Zoot would turn him into an Audi.
Probably.
Shallow subject. You guys had a bunch of funny things before we even got
yes.
started, before I loaded it up. I can't pull those up, but I did see them. Very funny. Like, for example, Muhammad had the strength of 30 millimeters, for example. I enjoyed that one. That was very good. And I forget what all was said, but a bunch of funny things were said. There was a super chat before the stream started from Shameful Music saying getting in early for the super chats. This goes live at 2 a.m. here. God bless. So I appreciate that. Can't pull it up because it was before the stream started, but appreciate that. More clips, please. Pulling double duty like Dia Al Kalbi. A very, very small thing. Yes, indeed. We got Dawah Man informing us about the very, very small thing, and Jack Ray starting us off with 50 gifted memberships.
They give a loan to Allah. What is the reward? The reward in this life is that the money will come back double. You give 100, 200 will come back. Sooner or later. Believe me, all money that is given for the sake of Allah, it comes back. And I'm sure that all of you have experienced.
Thank you very much for all your support, Jack Ray. And remember, whatever you give comes back double. Believe me. Trust me, bro. Frog One said 30 millimeters. That's 3 centimeters. That's like 2 inches. No, more like 1 inch approximately for 3 centimeters or 30 millimeters. And had a couple jokes about inch Allah before we got started.
Nice.
There was one, I'm trying to remember exactly how it went, but basically from Phil, it was something like, oh, actually, it was right after I loaded it, so I can pull it up. His Allah wasn't Akbar and wasn't even Kabir. It was Sagir. So it wasn't bigger. It wasn't big. It was small. All right. Let's go ahead and pull up Mary's presentation. Like we said, this is serious. She has a full PowerPoint with all the evidence. So after today, you'll be well versed in how to prove that Muhammad had a
very, very small thing.
All right, let's dive in. Not in the Al-Zoot sense. You're on mute. Mary might have stepped away for a second. Enough yap. Let's see the proof. Yes, we will see the proof as once Mary comes back. Did the cat consent to being filmed while asleep?
He consents by implication when he comes into the frame.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's not actually. It's actually crazy. So this is Artemis, and she'll hang out with me sometimes when there's not a stream on, but like as soon as I'm about to start a stream, she'll show up. She'll be like, hey, I got the calendar notification that there's a stream. I need to be there.
Yep. All right. So sorry, I had to get tea because I was really deep into working and got distracted and was not prepped. Okay. So looking at the Islamic sources, there's clear that something is up with Muhammad. Something's wrong with his junk. Things are not working right. And it is a preoccupation of his. He has a preoccupation that he is sexually inadequate. From the beginning of Islam itself, its initiating factor is the fact that he did not have a son even ascribed to him. So Muhammad is well known to be infertile after Khadijah dies. This is understood. It was commonly thought by Muslims, by the followers of Muhammad, by the Sahaba, they were suspicious about the parentage of Ibrahim. Aisha said, he doesn't look like you. I mean, she just flat out said it. When Maria the Copt turns up pregnant, the quote unquote brother that she has gets chased around Medina with a sword, and then supposedly reveals that all along he has been a eunuch. And up until this point, nobody thought of him as a eunuch. Nobody knew he was a eunuch. But somehow, after Maria the Copt shows up pregnant, it is discovered that he was a eunuch all along, right after, as in the midst of being chased with the sword and threatened to be killed for impregnating Mary the Copt. Just want to be very clear about the circumstances here and how implausible this series of events really are. So, didn't have any kids in Medina, no credible children. Well, what about Mecca? Didn't he have 4 kids then? Well, there's a thing, or 6, because he supposedly had a son who died before Islam and a son who died after Islam. Here's the thing. I don't think that he actually did. I do not believe that these are his children, because there are very few circumstances in which you are perfectly fertile for the first few years, for a number of years, and then stop being fertile at a fairly young age still as a man. There are very few conditions that cause this. And he didn't really show any signs of these possible conditions. But furthermore, there are things in the text that point to the idea that Muhammad and his uncle, Abu Talib, had an arrangement where they had sex with each other's wives. This was recorded by Aisha as a form of pre-Islamic marriage, or a thing that pre-Islamic men did, is that they traded wives. And she said it was so that the more noble one could father children on the less noble child, and then, or the less noble man, and then they could have sons who are nobles. That makes absolutely no sense. Because if the child was born inside your marriage, that was your child. It was no longer that other the father's child. It wasn't. That is your child now. So the only thing it would give you is a child with a different biological relationship, without even biological relationship connected to you. What I believe this arrangement actually was, is that men who feared that they were infertile would arrange a wife swap with another man so that they could plausibly each kind of think in their own heads that the kids were their own, that were born to their wife. So when Khadijah, who had already had at least 3, if not 4 children, if she, it was known that she was fertile. She does not show up pregnant like 2 years into Muhammad's marriage. Muhammad's like, dang, this issue might be me. Goes to Abu Talib. They sleep with each other's wives. He gets children. Well, why would I say that it would be Abu Talib? Why would I say that? There are 2 very strong factors that point toward this. Number 1, it was very typical. It is very typical that Muslims would or that pre-Islamic Arabs would arrange for marriages for their daughters before they reached the age of puberty. They were not consummated at this time before Muhammad. Muhammad introduced the idea of intercourse with children. They were not consummated, but to seal a betrothal, to have this arrangement in place, to secure your child's future in this way, was very, very common. And the preferred arrangement to seal would be to a first cousin, if possible. If you don't have a first cousin, to the next immediate kin on the father's side. Muhammad had taken in Ali as his as a foster son, essentially. He was now completely provided for by Muhammad. It would have been normative in that culture at that time to use Ali as his heir by betrothing him to a daughter. Often the next younger daughter, but not necessarily the next younger daughter. They would have a betrothal and later on they would marry. And in this way, he could make as his heir the next closest male relative, basically, because he lacked a son. This did not happen as long as Abu Talib was alive. And there really is no good explanation for it, except that might have constituted as literal biological incest. And both Muhammad and Abu Talib knew that. And so he could not deny the possibility of this biological, though not legal adoptive link, as long as Abu Talib was alive. After he died, after they moved, well, then he could have this. The second factor that really points to this being true is that the woman upon whom Muhammad climbed in the grave after she died was his aunt, who was married to Abu Talib. So when Muslims saw Muhammad climbing onto her in the grave, I actually believe that he was trying to revive her, that he thought he could bring her back to life. The fact that he thought she was incredibly beautiful is documented in the Islamic sources. I thought that he considered her as a very important person in his life, and he thought that he could bring her back to life. But the Muslims who were standing around at that time believed him to be having intercourse with her. I just want to be very clear. They believed that when his aunt was dead, what he would have done is have intercourse with her. Now, why would they believe that? That would be insane unless they had some reason to believe that there was a relationship kind of that type that might have been pre-existent. Now,
real quickly,
to address the point,
there was a question here.
So Khadijah had married 2 other men. Some reports say that they died. Some reports say that they divorced her. They are not present in any of the other reports from the time of Muhammad's prophethood. So
we don't even get a name, is what you're saying?
No, they have names from before. Okay. They're just not in the later story, so I didn't bother to remember it. One of them was not even a Meccan. He was someone who had come and moved to Mecca rather than being Qurayshi by ethnicity or by tribal affiliation. So because his tribe doesn't even factor into anything, because they're both completely out of the picture by the time Muhammad declares himself to be a prophet, I ignore that. So
fair enough. Phil put a couple of names in the chat. If you're curious, Abu Halal Maleek ibn Nabash.
And that's the one who is not a Qurayshi. And then Atiq,
as well as,
who is the Makhzumi. He is the Meccan. And she did, whether or not she was divorced or widowed, she did inherit from both of them or receive compensation from both of them. If they died, she got her portion of the inheritance. If they divorced, and it seems like more likely they're dead because, she's wealthy. Her sons have an inheritance from these men, and they're just gone out of the picture. Or her son and her daughter, rather, who have survived to adulthood, right? She had 2 sons and a daughter who were from these previous relationships who survived until almost adulthood, and then one of the sons got killed in a fight. By the way, the other one did not follow Muhammad until after the conquest of Mecca, so his stepson was like, no. So
that's pretty sad when you can't convince your own stepson that you're a real prophet. Guardian said, what? Allah was not powerful enough to bring Muhammad's aunt back to life? Muhammad also did not have that power? Looks like pagan gods are not capable of that kind of divinity. Yep, very, very true. And Muhammad also most likely predicted that he himself would raise from the dead while he was alive, and then that didn't happen and created some issues, but that's a story for a different day. It does appear that Muhammad and his God were just not capable of bringing people back to life.
So Wheeled Mojo asked, how did they know who the fathers were? Well, the idea is that you didn't. You could plausibly claim that the father was actually yours, and you didn't just sleep around nilly-willy. You were letting someone else sleep with your wife because you couldn't get any sons on the wife.
Mhm.
And what was worse for Muhammad is that Abu Talib in his own family had 4 sons who made it to adulthood, and plus at least 2 daughters. But whenever you look at the children who survived of Khadijah from Muhammad, and Khadijah had 2 other sons who survived for a very long time before one got killed in a fight. But if you look at Khadijah, she had 2 other sons, and yet with Muhammad, somehow he still ends up only with surviving daughters. It just seems like terrible luck, or maybe God's mad at him or something. And so, but what you would do if you were in this kind of thing is that you wouldn't marry each other's cousins because you might be related. But they were fine marrying first cousins anyway, so you didn't have to track beyond sibling relationships. You just had to like not marry potential half siblings to each other, and you were fine in this. Now I did get some pushback from someone. Jesus would disapprove of this. Jesus does not disapprove of speaking truth. Like this is what I have said so far. These are in the sources. This is true. To shine light on darkness and to expose evil is good. So shame on you for wishing evil to be concealed. I have mentioned a lot of this material previously. I'm bringing it together in one place so that people can easily access it for the aid of people understanding this background to Islam. It is important. It shapes what Jannah will be like for everyone. This is a fundamental shaping thing of Islam, that something was wrong with Muhammad's sexuality, that his performance and his outcomes were poor. So,
yeah. So great timing. Jaeger Ali had just asked what's the point of this live. And as Mary's saying, this isn't just... Okay, so I'm going to be perfectly honest. It is a little bit about making fun of Muhammad, and that is inspired by Maleek, who decided to dox and send death threats to multiple Christians. As a result, this is a little bit of payback for that. But it is also a serious issue because Muhammad's, let's say, physical anatomy leads to him making some very interesting claims about Islamic paradise, and then doing things in his personal life that get codified into Islamic law. Because Muhammad's the perfect example, right? Everything he does, no matter what the reason, becomes the perfect law for everyone to follow. So that's the point here, right? The point isn't just making fun of Muhammad. The point is that this gets codified and affects Muslims and Muslim Islamic law and Islamic paradise for all of eternity, according to Islam.
Yep. And I want everyone to keep in mind what Surah 96 says. What is it that the angel comes and supposedly brings to Muhammad? The first thing that he reveals is about what? Paternity. Paternity. It's about sexual, the effects, like how a baby is made. It's about baby making. And it is the assurance from Harb that Muhammad's lack of sons is not because of sexual inadequacy. No, it's because Allah is the one who chooses and forms the child. So, Muhammad, you're here and you're consumed with the fact that you have no sons and with feelings of sexual inadequacy and all kinds of doubts. No, it is Allah who makes these decisions. It is reacting to theories about drops of the seminal fluid. They didn't have an idea of sperm, but of semen of men and semen of women, and how if you are not virile enough, basically, then your semen, your male semen, gets overwhelmed by the female semen, and so you have daughters. So the lack of sons is about your inadequacy, according to Galenic theory. And Allah is coming. And this is what convinces Muhammad that he's a prophet, is that he convinces himself that he got a message that he's not sexually inadequate. This kicks off the whole thing. It kicks off the whole thing.
So Islamic knowledge said, this is silly. He's well known to have 30 men's strength. I guess he thinks that means that his penis was 30 times the normal size,
I don't
because
know.
that's the only way that would make any sense as a response. But then he said, big enough to satisfy his many wives. All were happy and satisfied. Yeah,
literally no
his
source says that.
Prepubescent child bride, right?
Literally
And now,
no
if he was
source.
normal sized,
Yeah.
he would have ripped her to pieces.
Let's go. Hang on. Let's look at the source, the reason why he supposedly had the strength of 30 men. It's supposed to be because he went to all of his wives in one night. But in what context does that story happen? It happens in the context of Muhammad being bewitched to believe he was having intercourse when he wasn't. These two events are simultaneous. So he is not having intercourse with any of his wives when this is happening. He's running to one and going, oh, I guess I'm just too tired after all the other wives. Running to the next one, oh, I guess I'm just too tired about all the other wives. Because he is very unintelligent and thinks that women won't talk to one another. And he pulls this off for a while. And everyone's like, Muhammad, he's a strong man. He's going to all of his wives. But then
I mean, that was just his buddies watching him go from house to house and thinking, well, I would have been banging them all. But Muhammad was just like pretending.
So
and I do have a clip for that. I do have a clip for it.
They are so weak and they're so impotent.
Yeah. And the thing is, what do we find out? He is not having intercourse with any of them. He's not having intercourse with his wives. But they say when he says that he has, they believe that he thinks that he has, but they talk to each other and they're like, you're not having intercourse with any of us. And he's like, oh, well, I got bewitched into thinking that I'm of all the things to bewitch someone. Everyone think about this. The one time that Muhammad is bewitched, he is bewitched to think that he is having intercourse when he is not. How stupid are you guys to think that this is credible? He is using this as a cover for his complete impotence late in his life. He was able to sexually perform to the level at which he was capable previous to this, but late in his life, as he was sick, he lost all ability to perform. And because of his insecurity about this, what did he start doing to cover the fact that he couldn't perform with a wife on her night? Well, then he'd just go to all the wives each night and act like he was performing with every other wife and believed that the women wouldn't talk to one another because he has the IQ of an ant. Like he assumed that they would be so ashamed by the fact that of all the people he was choosing not to have intercourse with, it wasn't them. But do you know what's going to happen? The women are going to start talking to their closest friends first, like, he's doing that, he's doing that. And then they're going to spread out a little bit and go, wait, you too, you too, you too. And eventually all of them are going to be like, wait a second, he's not having intercourse with any of us. They confront him. And rather than saying, oh, I lied because I can't get it up because I'm sick, he was like, I have realized I have been bewitched. Of all the things in the world to be, if you have the ability to give someone a delusion, how stupid do you have to be to believe this story? But
that's a very strange thing.
He's a cult leader. So
I'm a super powerful witch, right? And I can cause him to believe anything I want him to believe. I'm gonna make him believe he was having sex when he wasn't.
Right.
What the heck?
Like, of all the things, that is how. But again, this ties into his preoccupation with not being perceived as Vera to an extreme extent. Like this is just craziness that he did that, because I mean, the dude is sick. He is very, very ill. And rather than going, I'm sick, so now I'm going to do this, And even not, it wouldn't have even been a big deal. People get sick all the time, right? And he's like heading toward his deathbed, bluntly, by this point. And rather than just admit that he's sick, and they could say not that he can't, but he doesn't want to because he's sick, doesn't feel good. Like he could say he doesn't, though. He makes up this crazy story. And again, that points to something being so fundamentally wrong with him that he can't act like a normal human being would act, even a cult leader would act in these circumstances. He has to make up this insane story. Now,
so real quick, Dinkworth did the math for us, since Islamic knowledge, his brilliant response was that he couldn't be smaller than average because he was 30 times larger than average. So that's going to have a 13-foot long or 4-meter long penis, which is a bit much. And then he said it would also be approximately 3 feet or 3.5 feet or 1 meter in diameter. Elephants would struggle to fit that girth. Yeah, I mean, hey. The Muslim Islamic knowledge is sharing us his knowledge. So this is the truth about Muhammad. He was according to the Islamic sources, he was a short man. So he was like, 5 foot tall and had a 13-foot long penis. What is the problem exactly with that 3 feet in diameter? I mean,
and I forgot to put this in, but somebody else mentioned what is Aisha constantly doing with it? Where does his semen end up when he has intercourse? Does it end up inside
all
the woman?
Over his clothes?
No, it ends up all over his clothes. It ends up being smeared on walls. There are marks of Muhammad's semen on the walls of Aisha's house that she uses as a tourist spot. It's all over his clothes. Like, that's not a normal place for it to end, on sheet and under you. Yes, normal. On the woman and the woman, like, those are normal places. All over your clothes is extremely bizarre. Unless you are physiologically structured such that it is not very common that will end up where it should end up, and it ends up all over your clothes instead. So, like, this is very, very telling. This is very telling.
So she had walls where, so she cleans it off his garment and then she wipes it on the walls, and then he
wipes it from.
Right. I forgot.
Sorry.
Yes. Those are two unrelated things. He has many problems, but he wakes up and then he wipes himself and then wipes it on the wall for some reason, and then Aisha wants to show that to everyone.
That's the last thing you would ever want to show anybody.
He seems to be attempting to stabilize or aim himself in some way that ends up getting it all over his hands as well as all over his clothing. Something is super wrong down there. It is not, things are not right. Not right. This is not normal. And yet this is just how he is. Go ahead,
so Skylark said, wait, is him being 5 foot tall a joke or for real? I mean, it doesn't say his precise height, of course, but there is a insult that someone makes about him, saying that he's a fat dwarf. It's probably exaggeration, but I think he probably was short and overweight, at least based on that comment.
And that points as well to things not being entirely right. Because if you don't have enough testosterone, these are not people who had a lot of food. And everyone's always like, oh, Muhammad, he hardly ate. So if he was visibly flabby and did not seem to get the full male growth spurt, kind of points to things being messed up downstairs too. So another thing that is normative in Islam now is that men do not stand to urinate. They sit. This is tied most closely to this narration where a Jewish woman tricked Muhammad into thinking that people got tortured in the grave because they got urine on them. So here is the narration. A Jewish woman entered to me and said unto me and said, "The torment of the grave is because of urine." I said, "You're lying." Like, Aisha didn't buy this. She's like, "This is stupid. You're lying." She said, "No, it's true. We cut our skin and our clothes because of it." So she's trying to tell him that we will cut off a piece of skin that we get pee on. And we are tortured in the grave because we peed on ourselves. And Muhammad heard that, he hears them talking, and he's like, "What is this?" So I told him what she said, and he said, "She spoke the truth." So he gets tricked into thinking this. Now, why would the Jews are tricking Muhammad and saying stupid things all the time. Why are they tricking him into talking about urine causing torment? Why would that be something that they'd want to trick him into saying? Well, he was probably already a person who squatted when he peed, and people probably already strongly suspected things were wrong downstairs, which would mean that he had issues that would cause splatter, shall we say. And because of that, that's why this trick was made. It was made to scare Muhammad specifically and to mess with him. It was made to mess with him because there's something wrong downstairs that makes the pee not do what the pee is supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
So, and Aisha's like, don't believe anyone who says that Muhammad would pee while standing. He never did that, right? She flat out said that. Now, let's keep in. So this seems to be something that was made up just to mess with him because it was something that affected him. Now, Muhammad's very, very well known to try to change the stories of prophets so that they resembled stories about him more closely. He paralleled them to himself. He made claims about Moses, he went to his own people, and Pharaoh was his own people and his own language. And he would try to make all of these parallels of various people to himself. For example, Mary gives birth without a midwife because his mother gave birth without a midwife. He would change things in the stories that he heard to make them resemble him more closely. And he would use the prophets as to show that, like, he also is a true prophet. So here he is using Moses again and using him to claim that there will not be anything wrong with his own junk, because that's not something that happens with, because remember, he's most closely parallel to Moses. He's supposed to be of the same sort of prophet that Moses is. So he tells this story that people had this rumor that there was something wrong with Moses's junk because they never saw it. They've never seen his junk, and they're like, "Oh, well, he's weirdly modest for a guy around other guys. Why is he so weird about things?" And so he tells the story that a stone ran away with his clothes while he was bathing. He was bathing alone because he's all modest, right? He's super modest, so he's bathing alone. And the stone runs away with his clothes, which forces him to run after them so that everyone can see that no. Prophets are just modest. That doesn't mean anything's wrong with their junk. So Muhammad doesn't know what the gospel actually says. Just to be clear, he is using a different text, the Proto-Evangelium of James, and the Proto-Evangelium of James makes a big deal about the midwife. So the text that Muhammad himself was drawing from made a huge deal about the midwife. And yet, in his story, the midwife is gone. So he is changing what he's taking from, even though he's taking from the wrong thing because he doesn't know what anything actually is. So then everyone sees that Moses is not, in fact, deformed in any way in his junk, and he beats the stone. And to this day, you can see the marks on the stone. So this is an insane narration. unless you realize that there were going to be doubts about Muhammad's body. He invented the idea that the parts of the body that men should not show to one another, like men should never see the private parts of other men. Why? Because he didn't want anyone to see his private parts. He made that the aura of men so that he had a reason never to show anyone any of his private parts. So, I can't dress in front of you. You need to go away while I get dressed, you other man. Whereas it was completely normal in that day and age for men to completely strip naked in front of each other and dress in front of each other. And it was not a problem. If everybody's bathing in a wadi, everybody would strip in front of other people of the same sex. There'd be no problems. So Moses beat the stone because it had stolen his clothes, and then he was embarrassed when everyone looked at his naked body, even though there was nothing wrong with it. So that just shows that there's nothing wrong with Muhammad's junk.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and you can still see those marks on the stone to this day.
To this day, you can see the marks on the stone. So, hypospadias is one of the two things that can cause both infertility and high flash rates. However,
sorry, the laughing wasn't at what Mary said. It was at this comment.
Yes.
And this isn't even a joke, but
yeah, I mean, like I'm telling you, this is what the context is. We have an Arab here confirming. My grandma told me this Moses thing when I was 5, as in Allah helped Moses prove he was a real man. That is what the story means if you have an Arab mentality.
Yeah, I was just laughing at the thought of a grandma
telling people that,
a little girl at age 5 about the great story of Moses beating a stone so that Allah could show he had a normal member.
Yes.
Very, very weird stuff.
So hypospadias could be a cause of him having terrible aim and getting semen everywhere.
So what is that, Mary?
That is when the hole that is supposed to be at the end of the member is somewhere considerably farther up the shaft, and so things squirt out where they're not supposed to. It does not, however, explain some other things, because a fair number of times, it occurs with other abnormalities, first of all. Sometimes it actually causes kind of a flattening because the urethral tube partly forms, and so the rest is kind of an open urethral tube farther down. Sorry, guys. I'm sure many people are wincing right now. And today it's like sewn up and stuff, but a lot of times there are other abnormalities going on at the same time, but it can occur apart from or together with micropenis, which is a very short member. It's just a name for a very short member. So with hypospadias, the main cause of infertility is that you just can't get it where it's supposed to go. It does not go in the hole, and it isn't able to migrate to fertilize the egg. With micropenis, you can either have essentially the same problem if it is small enough, or infertility can be an indirect cause, as in that which caused the micropenis can also cause the infertility. There can be an underlying disorder. It can just be a disorder of development. It can be a different kind of disorder. That can be the disorder. I originally, because hypospadias is fairly common, thought that maybe that this was the cause, but it really doesn't fit with something that actually Andrew Wilson pointed out something, which is that Muhammad was having intercourse with a 9-year-old. He was actually having intercourse with her. For that to be true, and for her not to have severe injuries, and there's no report of severe injuries, hypospadias by itself can splay open the member, like I said. It does not make it smaller on its own. He would have to be very, very small to not injure a 9-year-old. Not only is it the physical size of her body, but when girls go through puberty, there are changes to wall thickness, elasticity, things like that bring a woman's body into a functional state, whereas before it is not. Things are very thin, fragile, not flexible and muscular, and so it is more dangerous beyond the size for any kind of thing to be going on there. So Andrew Wilson said, well, clearly he couldn't be any larger than 1.8 inches because of this.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of chuckled at first, but then I thought about it, I'm like, goodness, he is actually right. And that explains just as well everything else that is going on. So Muhammad actually has some hadith about another figure whom he said has a teeny tiny member. And so he says this in the context of one who has such a tiny member does not have intercourse. Okay? One who has a tiny member doesn't have intercourse. Does Muhammad have intercourse? Yes, Muhammad has intercourse. Therefore, Muhammad does not have a teeny tiny member. This is the logic of this one. So this is in one of several sources. I have 3 sources here that talk about it. Here's the first one. So Muhammad said that Yahya, John the Baptist, was called chaste, and he will, and listen to this, every son of Adam will come on the day of resurrection with a sin except for Yahya. And then Muhammad said that, and he picks up a small stick, a twig, and he says that is because he does not have what men have except for something like this stick. Therefore, Allah named him chaste and a prophet from among the righteous. So his chastity, the fact that he doesn't sin, that he doesn't doesn't have zina. All other men do zina. Everybody else does zina. But God gave him this teeny tiny stick, twig-sized, you know what, because in order that he doesn't sin, because he does not have any intercourse whatsoever. So again, the logic is Muhammad has intercourse. Therefore, Muhammad does not have teeny tiny member. That is his logic here. Okay? Ibn Kathir has this as a report, that the word hasur or hasurun as a definition. So here's one. He is one who does not have relations with women. He is one who does not have children. He is one who has neither children nor semen. And then someone's like, oh, well, it means one who doesn't go down to the water in this translation. But in context, it's overwhelmingly the understanding is that he is not having intercourse. That's what's translated as chaste in other passages. So we find later on, and this one, the automatic translation is poor. So I'm jumping to the version. Goodness, what an interesting place for that misspeak to be.
You're jumping on the virgin, huh?
Yes, I'm jumping to the version that is attributed to a companion, because the machine translation worked properly there. The other one means the same thing, but it got kind of jumbled up. But here is the statement. There is no one among God's creation who will not meet him without sin except for Yahya. And then he took something from the ground and said the chaste one's unmentionable was not like this, meaning not as big as this. So he took a small thing from the ground, picks it up and says his thing is not even this size. So in this version, it's attributed to a companion. Ibn Kathir is like, I don't like the other one being attributed to Muhammad. It was totally a companion that said this the first time. Why a companion could not have just repeated something that people were repeating from the prophet? You know, I think Muhammad actually did say this because that's wild. And you don't usually make up wild things about your prophet unless it's like, oh, he did this wondrous thing. This is not really the sort of thing that you make up.
So Muhammad picks up a tiny little stick from the ground.
Yeah.
And then he goes, Yahya, or John the Baptist, had a
tiny thing, like a tiny morsel.
There you go.
So let me take a couple of super chats from Sparkly Haru.
Wasting your time on social media is one of the best deeds a Muslim can do. There's a huge need for it. You know this and I know this. So that makes the reward even greater. So give generously and Allah Azza wa Jal will give you even more.
So he said, that looks like a vampire who's mogging. Thanks, I think. Thank you for the donation at the very least. Sure. And from Vic Vega, this is a more recent one, but I want to take this one right away.
Early in this is indeed a sign, yet most of them are not believers. Give alone to Allah, give alone to Allah. Ride the wings of Gabriel, give alone to Allah.
All right, now you can answer the question. What's happening? A short recap, please.
Yeah, the topic is the fact that Muhammad's sexual hang-ups because of something being wrong downstairs, which is most likely the condition called micropenis, that this was the inciting incident that caused him to be in such turmoil that he is going out to places and to caves where demons are to get answers and things, and then declares that he gets an answer about his lack of male offspring that says, no, you are not sexually inadequate. Allah is the one who chooses who is male or female. Like, this is very seriously, this is the inciting incident for Islam. If Muhammad had normal sexual function and had sons, Islam would not exist. We're going through information that points to this inadequacy, and at the end, we will talk about how it affects Jinnah and Muhammad's picture of paradise that he makes for all men. Okay. So, in Al-Qurtubi 2, we have the same story. Okay. This is a slightly different version of it. And in this one, he says, Yahya's penis was like a speck of dust from the ground. So he bent down, he picked up a speck of dust, and he said, Yahya's penis is like this. And that restrained him from disobeying Allah. It made him righteous. So that is this narrative in Al-Qurtubi.
A speck of dust, huh? I mean, how would you even know you had a penis at that point?
I don't know. But again, Muhammad is saying this because Muhammad has intercourse with his wives. Everyone knows Muhammad has intercourse with his wives. Therefore, Muhammad does not have a small stick, because if one had a small stick, one would not have intercourse with wives. This is the logic. That's why he's teaching this insane thing. Is he's saying that why? Because other people might be going, oh, this whole semenless dude, that sounds like Muhammad. We don't think that he makes kids either. And he's like, no, he doesn't have intercourse at all. Like and I clearly do. So I am not like this. So yeah, he did Yahya super dirty. And I want to thank my my friend Samawi here, who actually found these for me, because I remembered them. I had read them and I could not remember where I had read them. I'm like, please find this in Arabic for me, because I couldn't remember that it was like what the phrasing was. I just knew that he was like, he has an itty bitty thing, and that's why he didn't have sex. And he found these for me like instantly. I'm like, dude, you're amazing. Thank you so much. So Yes, this is indeed not a mustard seed. It does not begin very, very small and then grow to be enormous. So if you only have faith the size of Mo the Prophet, it wouldn't do you good because it doesn't really grow. All right. Here's one of, so it explains his infertility. It explains his preoccupation with the sexual adequacy being at the root of Surah 96. It explains his preoccupation with seeming virile. These things had compounded his small size, compounded with his orphanhood to make him seem less than a man. That made him desperate to prove himself. It also explains why he married Aisha specifically, not just because she was whiter than her older sister, but why this girl was his favorite. His youngest wife remained his favorite. Why did he prefer her over everyone else? She was smaller. It was probably, given his issues, probably the first time that he had been with a female and had something that was the kind of sensation that he wished to feel. So I'm trying to say this as delicately as possible.
The way you described that. He could actually feel something. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. It was also why he squatted, and it was why he was targeted with the urine hell prank. It also explains one other really, really terrible thing, that he describes Jannah as being a place where you have intercourse with little boys and little girls for all of eternity. The Huris in Jannah are described as what? As being Tanner stage 2 little girls. Why? Because that was his ideal. Why? Because he did not have that which could have the same sensations with someone who is not undeveloped. Why the little boys? Well, anal sphincters are inherently different than vaginal openings of any other stage. So this would be why he would have these strong preferences. So he introduces marriage with children partly because of this issue of his. He idealizes it absolutely because of his issues. And again, this points toward his small stature. Why would it be that to him, what every man would want would be an itty-bitty tiny girl and a small boy? This would be why. This would be why. So, that is how Muhammad's issues downstairs started off Islam, formed the very idea of paradise that men are supposed to be looking forward to, and colored how Islam is practiced around the world to this day. The fact that people reject any kind of minimum age of marriage is non-Islamic. Why? Because Muhammad preferred a very, very young girl. Why? Because his key only fit very, very small locks. And so he again, because he is a pattern, that became true of what anyone can do. Those who did not have such small keys and who therefore no matter what, it'd be horrible molestation. Let's be frank. It's terrible, terrible to do to a girl, no matter what. But girls are killed by men of normal sizes.
Mm-hmm.
All because of Muhammad and his sexual issues. So that is, I only had an hour of material for today. I wanted to keep this kind of concentrated on that. I'm willing to talk about other topics, including what I've been working on.
Well, we got a bunch,
this time, but I can answer all the questions, super chats
and such. But if people have questions, go ahead and put those in the chat. Super chat first from Work Man Need Not Be Ashamed.
We're asking you to give a loan to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and believe me, that will be paid back in ways you can never imagine.
Who is it that would loan Allah a goodly loan so he may multiply it for him many times over?
Allahu Akbar. I love that verse. Every time we donate to projects, we're giving a loan to our Creator, the most generous, who will return it to us in this life.
Brothers and sisters, can you afford to miss out on this opportunity?
I know I can't afford to miss out on that opportunity. Jack Ray said, a short stream. I guess that is fitting. Indeed, indeed. And thank you very much for that super chat. Sparkly triggered the halal hog. Generative Principle says, this makes too much sense. Yes, you thought it was just a joke.
It's not actually a joke.
The evidence suggests that there is a good reason to believe this. Super chat from White Trash Panda.
If you frequently say it, Allah would pay off your debts. So you can refer to it back again, inshallah.
Allah will pay off your debts. White Trash Panda says, Mary had a little lamb. She taught that lamb to eat the Quran. It promptly purged that nasty book, clearly written by the hand of a man. Indeed. Definitely not anything divine there, although your poetry is better than that of the Quran. Mick says they mistook a micropenis for a mole. I don't think it was on his back.
No, it was not on his back. It was not on his back.
So Metathronus has a good question, or I guess it's not technically a question, but observation. Maybe that's also why in paradise you're supposed to get kilometers of shalong. Yeah, so there's some very interesting descriptions about when you embrace your hories.
Yeah.
So, it kind of goes both ways, right? They're described as being prepubescent girls, right?
And they're also giants, but everybody else is a giant too. They're even bigger giants. Yeah.
So you get what Muhammad likes on earth, but then he also describes you as being very large, and the intercourse lasting weeks or years. So it's a very interesting compensation, I think, going on there for sure. I think that's a good observation to add to the list.
Yep.
I really actually thought it was just a joke. Yeah, you thought, but you were wrong.
It's not. I've kind of mentioned these things sprinkled out. I'm just pulling things together that into one concentrated thing that I've found before. And it's kind of funny how suddenly our Muslim defenders here have gone very quiet.
They came in. They came in and they were very upset, and then they shut up real quick when they realized it wasn't just a joke.
Yeah.
Super chat from Songs of Relief.
Early, and this is indeed a sign, yet most of them are not believers. Give alone to Allah, give alone to Allah. Ride the wings of Gabriel, give alone to Allah.
Riding those wings, but no words today for Songs of Relief. Just respect for the effort. Appreciate that. Thank you, AJ, for filling in there. I said years. I couldn't remember exactly, but you are correct. It's supposedly, orgasm, no. Encounter, right? Pre-orgasm encounter lasting 70 years. I don't know.
I don't know. I do not have male physiology, but that does not seem like what men would want, honestly.
No, I mean, it doesn't sound very appealing to me. I mean, let's put it that way. Are Muslims not knowing any of this then wild stuff? Well, they know the stories. They just don't necessarily connect the dots. Not referring to the speck of dust that.
Yeah. The Yahya one is fairly obscure, but none of the rest of these are obscure at all. They're just not connecting the dots. And that's the thing. When you take the sources seriously and you think about them and you realize what they mean. This becomes a problem. It becomes a problem that they have to deal with.
Hey, look at my Barack. No, it's not micropenis compensation. Because you supposedly get a sports car to compensate today.
The idea of the virility, like even Yafur has to be like a super virile donkey, but he's supposed to be the last, and for that reason he doesn't want a woman. Otherwise he totally would. He would. Like
right. The donkey doesn't have the normal sexual desires of donkeys, apparently. The real Prophet Muhammad, good to have him in the chat with a super chat.
O son of Adam, spend. I will spend on you. Give, then I will give you. It's difficult because you know what? These are my last few. As it is, the price is going up, the rand is going down, this is happening. Excuses. Those are excuses. You give and watch what Allah does.
No excuses. No excuses from the real Prophet Muhammad. And I would expect nothing less from the real Prophet Muhammad. Because the previous Prophet Muhammad, he had a lot of excuses. So if we're going to get the real one, it can't have any. Anyway, Allah hath raised me from the dead as a voice in the wilderness. Allah said, make straight the way of the Lord. As said, the prophet Ezra saw. This is found in Surah Bar Hobo 115:1. You see, that's some interesting collection of words there.
Yeah. Well, and guys, just keep in mind, like the thing that struck me, I already knew about the two Siemens theory before I ever read about I read the Quran. So as soon as I read Surah 96, I'm like, why is it talking about how it doesn't matter, the whole, yes, that comes from a semen, but it's Allah who shapes things, or Al-Harb who shapes things. Why is it doing that? Then I found out he only had daughters. I'm like, his first revelation is denying his sexual inadequacy. That's insane, guys. That is insane. That is what it is doing. So,
yeah, it seems that he had some definite issues mentally being about inadequacy. Let's say rent is going down. No, he actually says the rand is going down. People regularly mistake this, but the rand, which is the South African currency, is going down. So your money's becoming worth less. Prices are going up, so you're being hit doubly is the idea. It may or may not be true, but that's the idea anyway. Thaddeus chose war today with this live stream, says Christian Gadfly. Hey, it was Maleek. All right. It wasn't me. It was Maleek who chose this. And Arlette with a good point earlier. Islamic fiqh says women are owed intimacy only once every 4 months because women have, quote, have no desire. LOL. Well, if they're going off Muhammad's details, yeah, his wives hated being with him. Makes sense. Makes sense. I'm not familiar with that particular ruling, but it is consistent, right? That everything in Islam, women are just an afterthought. So the men, if they want to have sex daily, even if their wife is trying to fast or do other religious duties, she's obligated to break that. And if she doesn't, then, Satan will curse her and the angels will curse her and she'll go straight to hell. But also most of the inhabitants of paradise are women. So of hell are women. So that makes sense. But then at the same time, men get multiple women in paradise, which means women outnumber men. Who knows? Expect rebuttal videos from Mohammedans for this stream. I doubt it. I doubt anyone is going to address
all of this.
There is no way they want their audience to be familiar with this material.
They don't want people to realize that Surah 96 is going, no, it is not a grand statement about the power of God. It is answering what's happening. So what is probably the context for Muhammad being in this cave seeking answers is most likely that Khadijah has a geriatric pregnancy at this moment. His one other male child is dead, died, was nursed for a while, died. He only has daughters, and now he's super, super concerned about whether or not this unexpected pregnancy, when she's well over 40, she's like 42-ish at this point, that she's going to, am I going to finally get a son? Is that my fault that she doesn't have these children? When of course it's actually Abu Talib's kids, not his at all. But is this some kind of thing that has happened that's being denied to me? And it's like, no, Allah decides, and He is your Lord, and just don't worry about it. It's nothing that you did. There's no inadequacy on your part. This is all in the hands of your God. So this is the spark of the religion. I don't think that he actually thought that he had heard those exact words then. I think he took some time to make up what it was that change it into poetry and then later declare, oh no, these are exact words I'm getting from, all of this took time to develop. But I do think that was the answer that he was seeking when he was there. And it is a rebuttal on a very short subject. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
Allah willed it. He could have made Muhammad's PP the size of a baguette if he wanted to. That's true. Everything that happens, Allah willed. So.
And Arlette notes that only daughters explains the special blessings that you get for raising daughters, even though they kind of loathe women. Yeah. Women are inferior, they're terrible, they're awful. But if you have daughters, you get special blessings.
Well, that's consistent with fleas be upon him, right? Mm-hmm. You get blessings for things that are bad things, right? Yep. Suffer things that cause you to suffer. So raising daughters gives you blessing because it causes you to suffer, I guess. His meanie is a priori.
There's no shortage of puns, someone else says.
False prophet Muhammad was actually an ant.
There we go.
That's funny because one of these two clips, I think this one.
It's a very, very small thing.
He actually obviously he's not really talking about a penis, but he goes on and just compares it to an ant after that portion of it. So that'd be very funny if I had that whole clip there. Another super chat, Songs of Relief.
And Allah will bless you in a million ways. You find the tree will grow and you will have lots and lots of wealth. This is the example that we gave to the children. And I'm letting you know that when you sow that seed by giving, you shall receive much more than you gave by the will of Allah. Give as much as you can, for indeed you will reap much more than you have sown.
It's wild that spilled wee sends you to hell, but water isn't made unclean by anything.
Yeah.
Anything? Not even wee? Yeah. I mean, according to Muhammad, most of the torture in the grave, right, comes from improper urination. So you got to make sure to be very careful. I mean, that's the thing that Allah cares the most about.
Yeah. And very by the way, in case you can't notice, the remodeling continues. Sorry about the background noise, guys.
Ants have a larger ding dong. I'm pretty sure ants don't have penises, but I could be wrong. I don't know. That's a good question. What's a good question?
I'm looking forward to. Oh, dang it! I'm on top chat and not live chat.
It might be, I guess it was
maybe the one that we brought up.
Yeah, it must have been the super chat that I already shared. That was a little while ago, but because of the delay. Yep. Hi, hello. Provocative title today. Yeah, you missed a good
provocative content.
Definitely go back and watch it though. Definitely watch it. It is provocative, but it is also completely serious and with real consequences.
Yes.
For what it means about Allah's paradise, right? Muhammad is Allah's own little made up joke for his amusement. Yes, I think So, and as Frog One pointed out, everything, including our mockery of his small private small private part profit, all of this foretold, foreordained by Allah. Allah is clowning on Muhammad right now. Yes, if we take that seriously. Oh, yeah. Mary, can you explain this for us? Blake said Muslims are very obsessed with wiping versus washing for some reason.
Well, it's really funny because here's the thing. What did Muhammad do? He wiped using rocks. And then he splashed himself with water afterwards. Splashing yourself doesn't remove things, but then now they've gone to forgetting about the rocks, which kept the poo from getting on you, and just using your hands straight up with water. And the result, unfortunately, has been poor for the outcome of the Islamic world, which is why you get cholera outbreaks in Mecca as if this were the 19th century. Everybody else has figured out that you need to keep poo and water like away from each other in terms of the water that you eat, and you need to keep your hand away from the poo so you don't get stuff on your hand that ends up in the food. But Muslims have not figured this out yet. It is I mean, like they spread it to Haiti too, got it in the water system. Because why? Because of their obsession with using their hands with water and not realizing that they should be using soap, because of course soap is not prophetic. It is a problem. It is a problem. People get very, very sick. So yeah.
Super chat from Shameful Music.
Yo, chat. Shameful Music is amazing. Facts.
Nice.
I do have to agree with that. If you haven't seen it yet, be sure to check out the Dawah Guy music video on my channel, or you can go over to Shameful Music to see the non-music video version of that, as well as the Not in the Zoot Sense song. I enjoy both of those quite a bit. Really enjoy those. Can't wait to see how gay is Muhammad debate. Not quite. I don't know if you're referring to the debate between Mary and David or not, because it's not quite how gay is Muhammad. It's how gay is Islam, or more accurately, is Islam more gay or more pedophilic? And that's going to be a very tough debate to pick a winner, because they both have very strong arguments. You want to tell us a little bit more about that, Mary?
Yes, we are going to do a very serious debate on whether or not Islam is more gay or more pedophilic, because and it is actually partly, honestly, because I think that making fun of Zoot is all well and good, but it really takes the focus off of the primary focus of the reward in Jannah, which is children, and the obsession with children, both male and female. So, and yes, the debate will indeed be happening. We just got to organize it, get somebody to, go bother James of Modern Day Debates. Tell him he needs to host it, because we're trying to get it on his platform. If it can't be on his platform, we might do Cameron's or IP's. Well, we'll see. So, and it will not be a short debate. It will be a lengthy debate with hard-hitting questions being dealt with.
Unlike Muhammad, who is definitely not lengthy or hard. Rare position, equally gay and pedophilic.
Nice.
He's a deviant, but are we debating which kind of deviant now? Yes, we are. That is what we need to do in this day and age. Another super chat. This one from Workman. Not need.
If you frequently say it, Allah would pay off your debts. So you can refer to it back again, inshallah.
Says Bernie Madoff style. Yes, indeed. You got to get your Ponzi scheme in. That's how Islam works. The more donations you make, The more Islam, the more Allah pays you off. And you can see this from Muhammad Hijab, because, you know, he's been raising money for the Norwegian mosque for 6 years, give or take.
Yep.
And Allah has repaid him with a 800,000 pound debt that caused him to declare bankruptcy. So you can see it works very well. And in fact, he recently did a video saying, because of my bankruptcy, the mosque is in trouble. I don't know how those two things are related. I really don't know how those two things could possibly be. Well, yes,
because
I
he
do.
took all the money for the mosque in the first place, so it was never going to them. But
I did. I should have said I don't know how they could honestly be related, but
no, that is true. They could not be honestly related. They could be dishonestly related, certainly. So Jack Ray said, hard-hitting questions like 434, the striking of your wives.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right. So I wanted to let everyone know that I have filled out the articles on the illegitimacy of Muhammad and how this disproves Islam. If you check out, we have, first of all, just how it does in one article. And secondly, I explain the gap between Hamza and Muhammad and how that means that it must necessarily be that Muhammad is illegitimate because of that. And then I gave all kinds of corroborating narrations that also point to the fact that the people of his time considered his paternity to be in strong doubt, and pointed out how misinterpreting the doubt that's been cast on his paternity has caused people to think that Muhammad is a super special name. So, heal patients by charity, that you can heal people by. Oh yeah, that you can get healings by charity. Yeah, that's so sad. It's like, oh, if you Allah will heal you if you only give charity. And she's saying that hadith is posted everywhere in hospitals with a QR code, so you can donate money, and then you will certainly be healed. Just so gross. It's so wicked. I mean, there are wicked people everywhere, but it's part of Islam. It's built in. They're not abusing Islam. It's what Islam teaches. It's terrible. Terrible.
So Blake, the other Blake, said, have you read the whole Quran, Mary? Is this why you're so informative?
Well, I've read many, many more things than just the Quran.
Yeah, the Quran's not very long.
Yeah.
It's roughly the length of the 4 Gospels combined.
Yeah.
So it's not really that long, right? It looks like if you get you get a book, it looks big enough, right?
Yeah,
but
each
it's because they have very large type.
Yep.
This isn't gonna work, but
very large
type, large margins, right? They're intentionally trying to make the book look bigger because it's really not actually all that much text in comparison to a Bible, for example. A couple more comments. It's okay. Momo had very little male anatomy. Yep, that's what Aisha said. It's okay. He didn't hurt me. There wasn't much there. Ezekiel said, riding the wings of gay, Brio. Arlette said, needed this laugh. I've been so sick over the months. God bless you both. Appreciate that. Glad you enjoyed it. And Frog One said, it's a short subject today. It was indeed a short subject. It's not really that long. Yeah, not really that long. The Quran and Muhammad are both really not that long. That was unintentional. I was actually just trying to describe the Quran, but it's true. Yeah. It's true. Just getting here, learning about the miracle of the number 1.9. Yeah, something like that. So why don't you sum up the stream since we're about ready to wrap up, Mary?
So the stream is summed up by the fact that Muhammad's preoccupation with his lack of sexual prowess has fundamentally shaped Islam in ways that no Muslim can deny. And in spite of this Islamic foolishness, ignorance guy running around going, you're just using da'if hadith. No, I'm not. A good number of them are sahih or Hassan, and it's in Islam, and these things inform Islamic law. These inform Islamic law. They inform your Jannah. They inform the circumstances and the content of the Quran itself. These are things that having intercourse with someone who is dead, a dead body, is in Sharia because they believed that he was having intercourse with his aunt. Muhammad's own followers thought he was having intercourse with his dead aunt in her grave, and thus you can have intercourse with dead bodies for a certain amount of time after they have passed in Sharia. And yet you say, I'm making things up. Like, no, this is how you practice your religion is informed by all of this. What you believe about your religion is informed by all of this. What you believe about your future is informed by all of this. This is part of the formative background to who Muhammad was, what he was preoccupied by, what he was involved in, what he cared about people thinking. The only hadith that is discounted by Ibn Kathir and Qurtubi is the one about Yahya, because the reasoning is that, well, that's a defect, so it can't be true. That's why they throw it out. The idea of da'if meaning it did not happen, no, that only applies to Islamic law. It's used for other things. It's used for Muhammad's history. It's still used for that. But they don't like it because of the theological implications, because they're saying that this would be a defect, and the prophets don't have defects, is basically their argument. That's why it's not accepted. That's it. That's really it. They make up other excuses to not accept it. There's no reason for people to make this up and apply it to Muhammad. It's not fixing anything. It's not solving any problem. It's not insulting their enemies or promoting a particular belief system over another. It doesn't have any of the earmarks of the fabricated material. So, no, this is very likely to be something that Muhammad said, and people remembered because it was so weird. And it's part of your religion, and it's the background of this is who he was. The fact that how you clean off semen is dictated by Muhammad having semen all over his clothes. Otherwise, you would have had a different conclusion, like a different ruling on it. You have to accept that he walked around with semen covered clothes because this informs rules about how you dress. This informs things. So the fact that you get children in Jannah is Islamically correct. So no, this is not, what do you mean? You're just making things up. No, I don't make things up. I critically...
Islamic knowledge, you need to watch the stream.
How stupid are you?
You need to watch the stream, buddy. This is the stupidest thing, okay? This is the stupidest argument, just in general. We say stuff, right? And then they're like, you believe Islam because all of our sources are lies. They're filled with false information. Muslims made up. Like, even according to you, and your da'if means made up, which it doesn't actually in Islamic jurisprudence, but even according to you, the reason you should believe in Islam is all these Muslims were making up all these horrible stories all the time. They were all complete, total liars. Convert to Islam because it's the religion for liars. I mean, what the heck is wrong with you? Why do you think this is an argument?
Yep.
Now go back and watch. Most of the hadith are Sahih. Sahih Bukhari, Sahih Muslim, quoted throughout this. You just have no freaking clue because you didn't watch anything. And you're just like, oh, it's all naive. It's all naive. I had nothing to do.
Yep.
My religion is full of lies. I'm so happy I can believe in it. It's so dumb. Why would you make that argument? I would never million years be like, I don't like what this, and I don't like your interpretation of this Bible verse. So what I'm going to say is the Bible verse is false. What? Why is that a strategy in Islam?
I don't know. I will never know. All right. So I did want to share, among other things that Muslims get confused about, is that they want to believe that the name Muhammad was somehow special. That wasn't an ordinary pagan name, because the people ask his father, why are you giving him a name that is not known among the family or known among the people? That was the question. The question is, why are you giving him this foreign name? And they want to go from the fact that they're asking him about why he's being denied a family name to turning it from a question about something negative into something positive. Oh, it's because the name Muhammad was definitely in the scriptures. That's why, because you needed to have this name because it is in the scriptures, because everybody knew that there would be a name Muhammad. And before recently, and people are like, well, other people were called Muhammad then. We can list 7 Muhammads who were Muhammad before Muhammad was ever a prophet that we know about. And they're like, oh, well, really, those are the only 7 Muhammads. There aren't any other Muhammads. Those are the only 7 Muhammads that there ever were. And it was because they totally knew that this was going to be a super special name. This is one of the reasons I get so annoyed by the nomos, because they take silly statements like this as if they have any validity, when we know very much that Muhammad was an ordinary pagan name, but not one used by the Quraysh. So if you'll share my screen, again, here is a source. Do not listen to any nomos. They are telling you untruths. They are either dishonest or incompetent, because it is very, very, very well known that this was a name in use in Old South Arabian and Arabic. So I'm going to show multiple pictures of multiple different Muhammads who are regular people who are all pagans. These are pagans. Okay, so here's one on his gravestone, calling upon Atar, the Venusian pagan god, to overthrow the one who destroys his monument. Then we have another one that says is saying that someone that's obscure and another person's name and their sons Mohammed, and then it's more stuff is obscured like the other ones, the other names of the sons, descendants of another guy dedicated to their patron, and the name is Tatlab Riyamun, and that's another pagan god. This is a pagan god of the Sumai tribe, Confederation of Tribes. So we have another pagan Muhammad before Islam. We have a third individual. It's even better, because we have a dude named Yahamed. I'm not sure what the Old South Arabian pronunciation of that would be, and his brother Muhammad. So they are 2 guys who have 2 different versions of the same root as names. And his brother Muhammad and his son Hai something or another dedicate to Al-Makkah. So Al-Makkah was the main pagan god of Saba.
Mm-hmm.
So we have 3 different pagan Mohammeds dedicating things to their pagan gods. We also have this engraving that says Muhammad, son of something or other, fashioned it. So he fashioned this picture, which is almost certainly a picture of a pagan god doing something or other. So he's taking credit for fashioning a pagan imagery, a pagan image. So this is a pagan name. We have Ahmad or Hamid or something like that as a pagan name too. A regular pagan name used for regular humans. Here he is talking about himself by something or other, son of HMD, son of someone, son of so-and-so. Of him is this carving. By him is this carving. So he gives his whole lineage. He's like, hey, I made this carving of stabbing a woman. Look at me. So every Semitic name has a meaning. This is a well-attested name. we also have this name attested as among Christian martyrs of Najran. So, just to be clear,
nice little taste there. Go to Muhammad.
Yep.
What is it?
Myth and Fact.
Fiction?
Mythandfact.com.
Muhammad mythandfact.com.
And so here's the full series that I've done so far. We're going to continue it because there are some other false claims that need to be dealt with. So you can make sure to debunk anyone who pretends that the name was special, because it wasn't. It was a regular name.
Zora Dominus says, and what do you find Muhammad as meaning? I mean, what is your point? Well, hold on, Mary. Yeah. I want you to answer the question, but first I want to pose this to him. Why would that matter, right? Most names have meanings. My name has meaning. Thaddeus has meaning. Most names have meanings. That doesn't like actually tell you anything. Like,
nope.
So if you're thinking, well, it has a meaning, therefore it can't be a name, that's just completely clueless. Now, Mary can go ahead and actually answer the question.
So all Arabic names that are native to Arabic have a transparent meaning. They are words in Arabic. So there are borrowed names. There are borrowed words that are used as names that have no meaning in Arabic. But all native Arabic names have Arabic meanings. HMD as a root always means praise and nothing else in Arabic. It does not mean desired. It does not mean anointed. It does not mean chosen. And in fact, it does not mean chosen or anointed in any language. Anyone who tells you otherwise is a fool or a liar. Period. They're a fool. They're gullible. They are disreputable and not to be trusted, or they are a deliberate, foul liar from the pit of hell, lying about our God if they identify as Christian. One or the other. No other option. Because it is not attested with any other meaning in Arabic than related to praise. In this form, with these consonants, it can only be one of three forms, two of which have to do with being praised, the third of which has to do with praising. Vast numbers of names are laudatory, meaning that they say nice things about the person who bears the name. So there is nothing inherently weird about someone having the name relating to being the subject of praises, any more than it's weird for them to have a name about them being the one who is super truthful or generous or any other sort of nice thing that could be said about them. However, you can also argue that the real original form was actually Muhammad, not Muhammad. And if that is true, if it was id and not ad, and it was changed later on, it would have meant that he made a lot of praises. He made a lot of praises. So, this is, and it is important to be accurate. It is important to be precise. It is important not to support dishonesty or confusion. Both dishonesty and confusion are bad, and we should be against it. So in Northwest Semitic, the word's meaning changed uniquely in that cluster of languages and came to mean desire, things surrounding the word desire, which can be like desire as in covet, or desire as in something that's super desirable and precious. And it can be negative or positive, like you could just really want something. So I am having my house renovated. One of the reasons I have not been, so I have a builder in the background. My house is being renovated. He's going away for a while, but coming back because I'm doing everything in stages for my own sanity, because otherwise I would pull out my hair, because I do a lot of stuff to do it. So, and yes, well, there's Muhammad There's Muhammad is a grammatical way as well. And Mahmud is the other one that uses that one. So there's actually a possibility that isn't represented here. It's an ID. Mohmmid could potentially be an HMD form, but it's never attested as a name in modern times. So because it is a grammatical form that works with this root, I would not say that it can't, it couldn't be that because we don't have it attested. Well, that's in the diacriticals. We don't know which of these three forms it is.
Oh my God, this guy. We got a mental patient in the chat, Mary. He only put in a chat a couple seconds ago, and I was going to bring it up, but he said, as you see, they do not respond to me. They haven't, nor will they. This is your proof. You ready for what this is proof of, Mary?
Okay, what is he even
This guy's a mental
talking about?
patient. This guy's a mental patient.
Mm-hmm.
The truth is Christianity is pagan. Christian means crystal, referring to the planet. Hold on, let me finish. Crystalline grid of crystal. So the Bible, talking about time and praise, obviously hates this planet. Hence, Antichrist.
This man is literally retarded. Well, here we have a prime example of the kind of lack of reason that no one should countenance. This kind of stupidity should always be condemned. Linking things that have absolutely no connection to one another etymologically or anything else should be condemned.
So Christian means little Christ. Christ
which means little oiled one.
Which somehow means crystal, which somehow refers to the planet crystalline grid of crystal. What the heck? And then the Bible is somehow Antichrist. There can't be Antichrist if the Bible is false, right? It wouldn't make any sense to say Antichrist if there isn't a Christ.
Yeah, I mean, it's just completely stupid. And never mind the fact that the letters are entirely different. And I mean, even in English, it's a CHRI and then a CRY. They're totally different in Greek too. The only one that's the same is an R. So there you go. You have an R. Both words have an R in them. But this is why one should not feed babies Coke in their bottle, because if they don't get nutrition, you end up with people like that, and people who say that that Muhammad is also a title of Christ. This is the level of argumentation of those who say that MHMD ever referred to Jesus. By the way, it's no better. It's the same level. That's why it irritates me.
So I checked just out of curiosity. The Greek word for crystal does look kind of like the English word for crystal, except it's a K, it's a kappa, whereas Christ is a CH, it's a chi. It's not even the same letter in Greek. So yeah, you got an R or a rho. And that's about it. One letter in common, guys. It's the same word. Oh my gosh. Oh man. Thanks for the laughs, buddy. This was even more funny than Muhammad. Muslim means Yafur ibn Zina. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. But the H is silent. You see, it's a Mossad H. Yeah, something like that. Pack it up, guys. Christianity has been falsified. Oh man, that guy. Definitely the proof of something. Maybe that he's on crystal meth. I'm not sure. All right, let me take these last few comments here. Denkworth with an important question. Is the stream length in hours going to be shorter or longer than Muhammad's member in inches? That is up for you to determine, because we don't know precisely how big Muhammad was. We just know he was pretty short, but he said, we're at 1.4 hours now. It was a little while ago, so we're probably more like 1.6 or something hours. Muhammad was 1.8 or less. So we'll see. We'll see. I came here when I read the title. Good choice. Be sure to watch it back. Good stuff here. It is humorous, but it is also serious and it actually matters. So definitely want to check that out. And we, of course, Wad here. Wad says, Mary is a wannabe scholar of fertility. Just so you know, Mary, you're a wannabe scholar of fertility.
I think that's supposed to be, unfortunately, which is kind of surprising that I could recognize that. But yeah, no, I am what's called a close reader. I know how to close read text and understand the text. You try to distort things and cover things over.
What has been in our chat for probably 2 years, maybe 3 years. Never once has he ever offered a single point of dispute. It's always just insults like this.
Yep.
You're a wannabe scholar, or Mary's a great gift to Islam because her arguments are low-hanging fruits.
But he can't say anything that's wrong. Hey, how old are the what level of development are the huri and the youths of paradise? What level of development are they? Because you can insult me all you like, which you like to do. That's fine.
Yeah, all he ever does is spam insults, right? Never.
Oh, well, I mean, he does spam compliments too, and then throw in an insult.
Oh yeah.
But
you're right.
He never.
He'll say, "I really like you, Mary, but unfortunately, you're stupid."
Yeah. So yeah.
The stream might be too long now. Yes, it might be too long if we're doing
it. It is now too long because we're at 1.75, so we're getting there.
Yeah. So Kenneth with a good one here. So the Quran has inflated attributes, large print, large margins, etc. Are they compensating for something? Yes, they're compensating for the lack of knowledge, the lack of useful material. And even though the Quran's not that long, most Muslims have never read it in a language they understand. They might have memorized Arabic, but they can't understand it. And they have no idea what it says. And we see that every day, right? We see that every day with people like Wad and Islamic knowledge who come in here and can't answer a single thing that we have to say. We know their texts better than they do. And I don't blame them for not reading the Quran. The Quran is horrible. It's terrible. It's the worst read imaginable. It's repetitive, boring, garbage. And anyone who reads it in their own language is like, this is what I thought was amazing when it was sung by talented reciters in Arabic. This is stupid. I could write better than this. And they probably can. We Muslims are real Christians. Oh, so you're the crystal meth users. Okay, got it.
Yeah. And it's so funny. They're all like, "Oh, we pray like Jesus did." So when it says Jesus instructs us how to pray, and he says when you stand and pray, do you stand? Do you stand as you're praying? He also looks up into the sky. Jesus looked up into the sky before he began to pray. Are you allowed to do that? No, why aren't you allowed to do that? Because Muhammad is so stupid, he thinks that to see things, your sight leaves your eyeball, touches the thing you're looking at, and goes back into your eyeball. And if you look up, your gaze, your vision will go too far away, and it will get too close to Allah, and he will steal it from you.
And you sure as heck don't fast like Jesus.
To his father. And you do not pray to a father.
You sure as heck don't fast like Jesus. Jesus said when you
fast, you get fat.
Wash your face so no one knows what you're doing. And you guys go out and be like, I'm fasting, everyone. Give me praise. I'm fasting. By which I mean abstaining from food for a few hours and then gorging myself when I get home.
Yes, when
That's
Christians
nothing,
fast,
nothing like Jesus.
lose weight. They get hungry. They don't eat. I know this is really hard for you. So fasting is a time of eating less, not eating certain things, eating less in general, not eating at all. It's not a time of waiting a few hours and then having a huge gut busting, overeating celebration that causes you to get fatter. I know that's really hard for you. You do nothing like Jesus. You don't do nothing like any of the prophets. You are a mockery of every word. Your prayers are mockery. Your fasts are mockery. Everything you do is a mockery of truth. Why? Because you worship Satan. So,
all right, this last one from Islamic knowledge. We pray to the one Jesus called Father. Oh, sorry. I meant to say this before, but we'll just trust Mary to give me an honest answer. According to Islam, are the names of God just merely identifiers that can be abrogated? Or are they the attributes of God that tell you something meaningful about him, Mary?
they are attributes. They're attributes. And
So
Allah
can an
cannot
attribute of
abrogate.
God be abrogated?
No, he would have cut off a portion of himself. Those which belong to Allah can't be chopped off and removed. And he here is correcting his God. His God is so stupid. His God said the wrong thing. So we have Islamic knowledge here coming to correct his poor idiot God, who accidentally said that the reason that Allah is not a father, not that you can't call him one, he is not one. This is wrong to do. This has always been wrong to do, is because he corrects people and disciplines them. If you are chastised, if you are corrected, if you are punished, then that is not something a father does according to Allah. So Allah not only disagrees with him, but says possibly the stupidest thing that anyone could say, which is that fathers don't punish their children. And it's very funny because there aren't many statements that are said almost word for word in both the Old Testament and the New without being direct quotations of the Old Testament. But the fact that the father chastises the children that he loves, is restated both Old Testament and New Testament, specifically about God, that God is one who chastises his children because he loves them. But we have a law here to tell us that no, in fact, you can't call him father because he punishes you sometimes, and no fathers do that. But Islamic knowledge here realizes how stupid that is. He's like, oh my gosh, Allah, shut up, get behind me, just shut up and let me fix this for you because you're stupid. Quit saying all this stupid stuff that you shouldn't say. So I'm glad that he's here to correct us. Correct his poor stupid God who keeps saying dumb things. So we are all helped by his wisdom.
You haven't even touched on the second stupidity here. He says that apparently Hosea abrogated calling God master, except in Islam, he is master. So you're following an abrogated name of God according to you.
Yeah, apparently.
And what is that? Is that verse actually about the name of God? No. Let me read it for you. So Hosea 2:16. In that day, declares the Lord, you shall call me my husband, and no longer will you call me my Baal, or master, if you want to translate it, although Baal is a better way of doing it.
And Baal, by the way, also means husband. It's also a way to refer to husband. It's husband and master both. So it's choosing one word for husband over another word used for husband. That's all it's doing. Using a different one that does not have the connotation of...
Since when can you call God your husband?
When you're the bride of Christ, when you're the church.
So does this have anything to do with an ordinary title of God? Even in the Bible?
No.
All right. Can I send you a Zoot truck? Sure. Email it to me. Last couple comments. My takeaway from the stream is Momo's PP was so small, instead of coming, he went. Exactly. And Wad says, guys, keep posting such grade polemics. I think you left out the word high. You are doing Islam a service. Yes, we are. We're doing Muslim a service anyway. We're helping them come out of Islam. And MJ came in here at the end. What is that thumbnail? I beg your pardon. Where did this Lord come from? Is this true? Yes, this is a serious stream. Go back and watch it. I encourage you to do so. It only takes you about an hour to get through the actual material.
And it is absolutely true. It is absolutely true that something was wrong with Muhammad's junk. The most likely explanation for it is that he had the condition called micropenis. So, yeah.
Yep. It's good. Watch it. I strongly encourage you to learn this material and use it because you're going to at first get a, very strong reaction from the Muslim, and then you're going to get silence when they realize that the evidence is on it. Islamic knowledge, right? He was here the whole time, apparently, because he blabbed some crap at the start, and now he's blabbing crap at the end, but he didn't say anything while we were going over Muhammad's micro.
And by the way, here he is again correcting his poor, stupid prophet. His prophet is an idiot who said that Surah Al-Fatiha is something that no other prophet has been given. So Islamic knowledge knows better. He knows that this is a real Lord's Prayer. And so he is telling his poor, stupid prophet, shut up, Muhammad. This is just stupid stuff. Get behind me. I will fix this. I will fix this for you. You just keep saying stupid things like this is new stuff that no one ever has had before. So, and I will throw the presentation up online in the usual place. I will eventually write out a much more detailed, the articles take me much longer than the presentations because I can just remember things and say them, and all I need to do is grab very specific things and big talking points. But I will have an article on my site about sexual issues and Muhammad and how it shaped Islam. So that will be part of the series, actually, because this is part of it, and the other part of it will be the issue with his treatment as a child and how it gave him basically an inferiority complex where he was desperately trying to get out of being seen as one who is the orphan who is used by men.
So I'll get a link added to the video description once Mary lets me know that it has been uploaded. And I don't know why Mary said the usual places, if people would know, because it's just a Google Drive folder. It's not like people have that link memorized. I'll get a link added to the video description. The workers must think you're crazy for yelling during the short stream.
Yeah. Well, it's my one guy. I have one person who does almost all the work, so it's very slow compared to a team. But it also means that I can do all the planning, shopping, problem solving, and I get what I want rather than what some group decides to kind of make up as like, because you run into specific issues whenever you're doing complicated things. And
Watt, as usual, demonstrating his amazing level of knowledge. My soulmate is way more smarter than you. Yeah, anyone who says way more
to get a green card for so many years. So many years he's been hitting
hey Wad,
any female.
You should let yourself be love jihaded and convert to Christianity. That's my advice to you.
Yeah.
Because if your wife to be or whatever is marrying you and allowing you to stay a Muslim, she is not following the Bible. She is not following.
No, she's not a Christian. You cannot be. You are an apostate. You are a Christian in rebellion, at minimum, if not an outright apostate. You are not a good Christian. You are a wicked, wicked Christian. If you marry a Muslim man, it's no different than fornication. To marry a Muslim man is equal to fornication. Just to be clear.
And last comment from Quran Only fans. Did this theory originate in the Arabian Peninsula? Yes, it did.
Nice. All right. You should be ashamed of yourself for microaggression.
I'm sorry, but this is a step too far. Mocking another's faith's prophet. This is childish. You people should be ashamed of yourself for your microaggression. Yeah, I thought it was a serious comment until that last word there. Nicely done. Nicely done.
Boom, boom.
All right. So next week, potentially, Mary will do how Muhammad was sexually abused as a child, or if she doesn't have time to get that together, then we'll just do a reaction stream, or maybe look at more on the academic fraud
Well, I'm
happening.
going to be I'm going to be taking at least a month-long break from the remodeling. So that means that I should be able to prep, and also might even do a reaction stream in addition to that. So we might have 2 streams with me next.
We might have 2 streams with Mary. Excellent. I was a little bit under the weather this week, so I didn't get a lot accomplished. I did finish editing the 100 ways to respect the Quran. I gave that to David to see if he wanted to add voiceover to it, or he wanted me to do that. I should get an answer from him tonight, so that should be out fairly soon. I still plan to do the top 10 dawah fails of February. I wanted to get it out by now, but like I said, I was not feeling the best and was a little lazy as a result. So I'm hoping to get that done this weekend and have that out Monday. That is the things that I know about that are coming up. Thank you all for tuning in today. And we'll close out this special stream in the usual way with a prayer from Pastor Jake.
Pray this ceaselessly. Lord Jesus Christ, Son of God, have mercy on me. Lord Jesus Christ, Son of God, have mercy on me. Lord Jesus Christ, Son of God, have mercy on me.